everybody. Okay, so we're going to be talking about fleas and ticks. But mostly fleas because ticks is going to have to be another one, but I just want to throw that out there that I'm not going to be really specifically talking about ticks because that leads us into Lyme disease and all sorts of stuff, so that really is a kind of subject on its own. So mostly we're going to be talking about fleas and little bugs that get on your dog, or your cat. So one of the things I want to talk about is, let's kind of talk about how fleas get transmitted from animal to animal. So sometimes people think, I went for a walk with my neighbor's dog and, he came back and he got fleas. He must have gotten fleas from my neighbor's dog. Fleas don't jump from one dog to another. They don't go, oh, I think I'm going to go move into this new condo over here. It's not how fleas get transmitted. So fleas get transmitted because they find a host, they live on that host, and when they lay eggs and those eggs fall off into the grass or your carpet or your bed or wherever, and then as soon as those eggs hatch, those babies need to find a host immediately. And that can be you walking through the grass, your pet walking through the grass, walking through the house, whatever it is. They're going to be smelling out anything that has blood that they can survive on. So quit blaming your neighbor's dog that you went for a walk on. I hear that a lot, and I'm like, that's not how they transmit. Now, most likely they were picked up in a grass if you didn't see them before. So why should we care about fleas? A, they're gross. So I don't know what else to say. They're disgusting, but they can also carry tapeworm. So that's the only way your pet can get tapeworm is actually from eating a flea. So if they get tapeworm isn't deadly. I mean, animals can live with tapeworm for a very, very long time. They're disgusting, but why you should be really concerned about tapeworm is actually because of the deworming medication that they will have to give your pet, sort of how they have to give it. I'm going to give you a little trick for getting rid of tapeworm. But if you go to a conventional veterinarian, they're going to give you tapeworm medication, dewormer, and that deworming is going to destroy your pet's gut. And now you're going to have a whole slew of problems because your pet got fleas. So we need to figure out how to get rid of them. So the other problem with fleas is your pet can actually be allergic to fleas. Sometimes I think it's weird how much I know about fleas. It's kind of gross. But when your pet is allergic to fleas, what they're actually allergic to is the antiseptic that is injected into your dog. So when a flea bites your dog, they inject an antiseptic so that they can feed on your dog without him knowing that he's there. And it's that gets into the bloodstream and causes your dog to itch. So you may hear a lot of veterinarians or people in the industry say, my own dog Ansel is actually allergic to fleas. So if he gets a flea on him, I will know about it because he turns bright red and he just has a really bad reaction to fleas. So. Okay, so we know the important reasons why we need to keep these fleas. They're gross, probably the number one thing. They itch, right? They bite us and then we itch. They not only are going to bite your dog, but they're going to get in your house and they're going to bite you and your family and your kids and all those things. They carry tapeworm and they can cause allergies in your dogs where your dogs just become inflamed constantly. So how do you know if your dog has fleas? So there's two ways. One, you can actually see the flea moving. They don't jump if they're on your dog. So you're not going to see them jumping on their hair. They crawl through the hair. So you have to separate your dog's hair to look if you want to find a flea. And the most common places you're going to find fleas are on the little rump of your dog from his tail, like just right there. Underneath the tail, that's a very big blood source for them. So they like to breed and be right there. On the belly, you're going to see a lot of fleas under the belly. And sometimes you'll find them, they like to go right here between the eyes. That's usually once you've kind of ended up with a little bit of an infestation. And they start little colonies on your pet. So here, the belly, the rump, under the arms, they actually build little colonies kind of things. So some of them will be on the back and then some will go into this area. But once you start seeing them in the areas around between the eyes and the ears, you've probably got an infestation. If you've only got a few fleas, then they're going to mostly be around the rump of your dog, that kind of thing. So same thing with cats. So with cats, same kind of area. Cats though, we do see a lot more fleas that will go up between the eyes. Probably because cats spend a lot of time grooming themselves, and that's probably the one spot that kitties can't get to really. So we don't, whereas dogs don't really groom themselves as much as cats, so you might find that up around here. They can actually get in the fur under the eyes on your kitty, so you'd have to take your finger and kind of do like that. So that's one way you can actually see the fleas moving. Another way that you can tell that your pet has fleas is there might be little black specks on your dog's rump or belly or something. You've separated the hair and it looks like little pieces of dirt, and some people will call it flea dirt. But what it actually is when the flea releases, he releases a little droplet of blood, and then that dries up and it turns black, and so it looks like little specks of black. And it's really bad when we bathe dogs that have an infestation, because we put them in the water and then the water turns red blood. That's how we know there's an infestation. When I'm bathing a dog and my water turns red, I know there's an infestation on this pet, and it needs to be dealt with. So, and then the other way that you can find out that your pet has is from their bedding. So those little black dirt things will fall onto the bedding. So if your pet has a white blanket, or you're very concerned about fleas, get them a white blanket, because you'll be able to find out if they have fleas before it becomes too much of a problem, because you'll find the little black specks on your bed if they sleep in your bed and that kind of thing. So okay, so now we know why we want to get rid of the fleas. We have all these medical problems that can be, in there. We know how we're going to determine whether our pet has fleas, but how are we going to avoid the fleas? So there's a lot of different ways you can do it. You, of course, can use flea and tick medication that you can get. Actually, I take it back. It's not medication. It's supposed to be flea and tick preventative, which I use that term loosely because it has to get into the bloodstream, and the flea actually has to bite your dog. So it's not totally preventative, because it's not keeping the fleas off of your dog or your cat, but it is, they have to bite them first. And so that's not really going to prevent if your dog has a flea allergy, because they have to bite your dog, which I already told you how they get the allergies. So it's not because they're running around, it's because they actually have to bite them. So it's not really a preventative, but it definitely will keep you from getting an infestation. So, because the flea can only bite once and then it dies. So there's all sorts of flea medications on the market. There's collars that you can do, there's pills that you can do, there's liquids that you put on the back, there's I think there's a spray now. They have stuff that stays in the body for 1 month, they have stuff that stays in the body for 3 months. Anything you want you can get, but here's what I'm going to tell you. They are all toxic. Every single one of them is toxic. They have all been linked to deaths. They have all been linked to seizures. They have all been, you can look on the FDA's website if you like. There's a whole list of all of the animals that have been poisoned from taking this stuff. And of course, you can probably say right now that, well, my dog's been taking it for years and he's fine. But trust me, when you see an animal die this way, you don't ever want to see that happen. So the preventatives, or the stuff that you can get that is to sit in your pet's bloodstream for 30 days or 60 or 90 days and wait for the flea to bite and then they die. How it works is it affects their neurological system, and the flea's neurological system. And so over time, it's now been reported that it is also affecting your dog or cat's neurological system. So I am absolutely not recommending ever for you to use flea and tick products on your pet. Actually, I take it back. I don't want to say ever. There are about the size of a flea reasons why I would use that stuff. And that would be and only be because of a major infestation that you cannot get ahead of. You've sprayed your house, you've bathed your cat, you've done everything you can do. You've kept the cat and dog inside, you've done absolutely everything you've done. You've gone to the groomer, you've used everything, and you still are having this flea problem. In the event of that, I recommend using something that your vet might provide for you, but I always recommend that you use a quarter of whatever is recommended. And if it works, then great, then you've given your pet less toxic stuff. If it doesn't work, you can always give them a little bit more if you need to. So, but I mean, that has to be the last resort. I don't give my dogs or my cat anything at all. Never have, never will. And the reason why is because I had a dog die from flea and tick medication. She had seizures so bad, and it was back when I was a vet tech and I was working for veterinarians, and I didn't know, and she started having seizures. And so because of where I worked and who I knew, she had every test known to man. They thought she had liver shunts, they thought she had hydrocephalus. She was a little dachshund named Tootsie, and I still to this day have the most guilt because I know that it was the flea and tick meds. But I didn't know then, and that's why I'm warning you guys about it. So she had seizures that just kept increasing. We even had her chart sent to UC Davis. They looked at it, they went over everything. I had really fabulous doctors talking to them, and nobody could figure out why she was having the seizures. And nobody suggested that I stop giving her the flea and tick medication. And I was young and dumb, and I did it, and I found her in my backyard one time having the worst seizure I've ever seen a dog have in my life. And I took her in and I had her put to sleep because I couldn't watch her do it anymore. You don't want to find yourself in that position. I always say it like this: getting rid of fleas by using flea and tick stuff like that is like burning down the house to kill an ant. Yes, I told you, fleas suck. They're gross, they can carry tapeworm, but you know what? They're not going to kill your dog. But the flea and tick stuff can. So you have to choose how you want to deal with it. So I do this video in memory of my dog Tootsie. Please don't use that stuff. Okay, so what can we do? What can we do before I start crying? She was the love of my life. In fact, I think my husband wanted to put me in a mental hospital when she died because I was struggling. But what do? There's a couple things you can do. You can use, there's a few products I like. I'm always hesitant to show you guys products because I really hate being salesy. But I do really like this company. So it's called Earth Animal, and they make a couple of different things that can work for you. So you can use some of these. Now keep in mind, none of these are all repellents. They're ways to prevent the flea from getting on your dog and biting them in the first place. So they have a couple of different herbal sprays. You can also make your own herbal spray. There's so many YouTube videos. Maybe I'll do another YouTube video on how to make an herbal spray. But there are all sorts of ways that you can put together your own herbal sprays. Earth Animal works really well. They also have a organic shampoo that you can use. So if your pet already has fleas on them, you're really going to want to use a shampoo and get them lathered up and have them sit in it. The problems with some of the sprays is that they are oils, and so if you have a Maltese or something, you might end up with some greasiness, so that's kind of a bummer. So here's another thing you can do. So fleas, just like any living organism or animal or whatever, excuse me, I have hair in my mouth, want the perfect environment. They want everything to taste just perfect. So if we can change pHs and we can add certain vitamins and minerals and stuff into our pet's diet that makes them less tasty to a flea, then that's what we can do. So there's a couple of products. This is a powder that you put into their food. It works great, but you can't stop it. Like, it's not, none of the stuff that I'm going to suggest to you guys is a one and done. You don't get to give a pill and walk away. Health doesn't come with convenience. Those two things you can never put together. You have to work at your pet's health, you have to work at your health. So if you want these kind of powders, you can get, Earth Animal makes a great one, you put it in. There's another product out there called Ashley's Natural Flea Product. It's a liquid that you let your pet drink. It's actually super healthy. It has apple cider vinegar in it, and it does some really great stuff, but it changes the pH just enough, not enough to cause any kind of kidney stones or bladder problems you need to worry about. But it does do a good job of making it so that the fleas don't want to bite your dog. So they make some collars that are, now keep in mind, none of these are toxic that get into the bloodstream. They're all repellents so that the fleas don't want to go on your dog. You can use flea combs, those kind of things, so that you're checking and making sure everything's in there. That's another way you can help prevent the fleas getting on your dogs. I can't stress this enough to you guys. I know this is going to sound crazy, but feed your pet a species appropriate diet. I promise you it will reduce the amount of fleas that want to get on your dog. People don't believe me. I do not give my dogs flea and tick medications. They go to dog parks, they go to dog beach. I take them up in the mountains. I take them all sorts of places. They come here. Not that I have flea infestation in here, but they are hyper exposed to all sorts of opportunities to get fleas, and they just don't. Every once in a while I'll find one on Ansel, and then I grab it, and if you do find a flea on your dog, whatever you do, don't just go throw it in the garden. Don't do that. You actually want to grab it and flush it down the toilet. It needs to be gone out of your house, otherwise you're going to end up with a problem. But I really, really believe that I have actually never seen a flea on Nevada ever at all. I think they like Ansel. He's, you know, just like you and I, like you could go to the mountains. I know when my kids were little, we would go up to Yosemite. Well, we still go to Yosemite all the time, but we go to Yosemite and one of my kids would get attacked and the other one wouldn't. I mean, just completely. So they do gravitate towards there. So there's different, you know, blood types and things that they like. Yes, dogs have different blood types. But anyway, so that's how you want to kind of prevent. So what do you do if there are a lot of stuff on fleas on your dogs? Or your cat's going to be a little bit harder to do it with, but believe it or not, you can use any shampoo. You could use baby shampoo. You could use just about any shampoo on your dog, and so long as you lather it and leave it on for at least 20 to 30 minutes, the fleas will die. They'll suffocate and they'll die. So you could use baby shampoo, but it has to be a good lather, and then it has to, you know, sit for a long time. So you can't be impatient. You can't be like, and the dog's freaking and the cat. Trust me, I bathe cats all the time. That might not work for you. What you don't want to use is Dawn dishwashing soap. I can't stress that enough. Do not use Dawn dishwashing soap. I know it's all over the internet that it kills fleas. It is. It's everywhere. You can use Dawn dishwashing soap. Please don't do that. Dawn dishwashing soap is very, very, very harsh. It sucks the oils out of your dog or cat. We know that because they use Dawn dishwashing soap when we have big, giant oil spills and the animals get on it. And you're going to need to sit it on your animal for at least 20 to 30 minutes. Don't use Dawn dishwashing soap. Use baby shampoo and lather it up nice, really good, and then get yourself a kennel and then take your animal out of the bathtub all lathered up and put them in a kennel so that you guarantee they're going to sit there for 30 minutes. Baby shampoo is a really good thing to use because guess what? You can get it all up around the eyes, right? It's tearless. So you want to be really careful with whatever shampoos that you're using. If you find something that you really like and you really like the smell of it, be really careful if you're going to use it around the head that it is tearless. Also make sure that it's going to be safe for your pet to use. Not all human shampoos are safe for your pet to use. Keep in mind that your animals can be licking themselves, cleaning themselves. So when you do put them in a kennel, you want to be very sure that if you are using a stronger flea or a tick shampoo, that they're not going to be sitting in that kennel licking themselves. So you want to be really careful, making sure you keep an eye on them, those kind of things. All right, guys, and then that is pretty much all you need to do is check your pets. Make sure that you're using really good quality shampoos. Use stuff in their diet. Feed them a species appropriate diet. Add in some stuff like some apple cider vinegar. I love Earth Animals powder. This one works really great. You can use the repellents. Another thing you can do with these repellents, whether you make it yourself or do it, is right before you go for a walk with your dog, you want to spray their feet anywhere. Like the flea is not, if you have a big giant Newfoundland, I promise you that the flea is not going to jump from the grass to the top of your dog's head. He's going to jump on the feet. So if you're going for walks and you want to use repellents, you want to make sure you get the under area where a flea would jump from the grass to the foot. So you don't really need to worry about doing the top part unless your dog's going to be rolling in the grass. Like you're going to the dog park and he might lay down and he might roll. But if you're just going for a walk, you really just need to spray the underbelly and the feet anywhere that a flea could jump up on. Okay? All right, guys, I hope this is helpful. One quick little thing. There's no such thing as flea season at all. It doesn't exist. It's a big giant myth. There's no such thing as flea season. Fleas love warm, humidish weather, no matter where you live. So if you live in Florida, sometimes it's too humid, and so they don't end up with fleas because Florida is just too humid. They don't like it. If you live in Arizona, too hot, too dry, they don't really care for it. If you live in California, there is no flea season. If tomorrow, in the middle of flea season, which is known as the summertime, if tomorrow it is hot and humid, just the perfect right amount of temperature, then we're going to get fleas. One more thing about fleas. God, I know way too much. Flea eggs can lay dormant for very long periods of time. So you could completely get rid of all the fleas and then all of a sudden you're like, my dog hasn't left this house in 6 months and neither have I because I've been stuck in here because of COVID and no one's gone anywhere. And how did my dog get fleas? Guess what? The temperature in your house got just perfect to incubate a flea egg that was already in there and now it hatched and there it is, voila, just like that. They can be in your car, all sorts of stuff. So yuck, gross, keep on top of it, guys. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me at Millie's House. If you're on Facebook, you can follow our page. It's called Millie's House. Follow the spa. I do a lot of blogging, so if you want to listen to some blogs or read some blogs, follow our podcast. The spa is thespaw.com, so it's ahhthespaw.com. You can reach me there anytime as well. All right, guys, bye. Stay flea free.